Hello there and welcome to Shuttlebay 4. This time we're talking about the Voyager episode Drone.
So we're looking at Drone from Voyager, Season 5, Episode 2, and a very, very quick summary of Drone is Voyager ends up with a baby Borg and it grows up quickly. And there you go. I mean, there is more to it than that. Otherwise, this is going to be a really quick conversation. But who wants to go first on Drone? Happy new haircut, Chris, by the way.
Yeah. It looks good, doesn't it?
It does.
So the first thing that I noticed was the Doctor popping up on Torres's screen while she was asleep.
Okay.
Now, that don't happen with my mobile phone. Someone video calls me, I've got to answer it.
It's 0600 hours. Early bird gets the gach.
And then when he popped up again in the shower, I'm thinking, well, in this century, that right there, that's being arrested. That's prison time. That's what that is. And he said, I'm a doctor, not a peeping Tom. I'm like, well, at the moment, mate, no, you're a peeping Tom. It's not an examination. You're just peeping.
That was a great line, that as well. I'm a doctor, not a peeping Tom.
Hey!
I'm a doctor, not a peeping Tom.
But it did feel like that piece of equipment was placed there purely just to get that line in, which I actually don't mind because it was such a great line. You know, we've got a good line out of it at least.
Does anybody know what a sonic shower? What's a sonic shower exactly? You just stand there.
Uses sound waves instead of water, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, right.
And that's right. And then he said the ultimate line that any peeping Tom would say, you know, it's nothing I haven't seen before.
That makes it sound as though he watches her all the time and she's just never noticed it.
It's nothing I haven't seen before.
So Kim getting a shot at the big chair, and Chakotay admittedly tells him, he says, by all accounts, you're doing a good job. Still never got a promotion though, did he? That's how good of a job he was doing.
And he called him, Chakotay called him Captain Kim, and he was like, no, that sounds so wrong. He don't even go.
The phaser rifles that they had, how bloody big do they need to be?
I've got the same note.
They're crazy ass big.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were massive, yeah.
And not just that, they're really wide. If you're trying to you're in a tactical situation, like in a Borg cube, for example, it's quite compact. You've got lots of tight turns and corners. You're trying to avoid hitting a drone. You ain't going to manage with one of those, are you? It's absolutely stupid.
How far have you got to stick your gun out before you can see around the corner?
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you seen that in a film with someone with just a handgun going around a corner and someone grabs hold of the barrel and snatches it off you? You've got no chance with one of those. No chance. And then the last note I've got is when the Borg drone said, I am an advanced form of life. I am unique. I thought, God, it's like talking to brush. Unbelievable.
I wouldn't go as far as advanced, but yeah.
But that's it. That's all I got. And as I say, then I started watching the episode because I was enjoying it.
Yeah. There are some real killer lines in this because you've made a note of the same couple of lines that I've made note of, and Bob Picardo really stands out in this episode. I think this is a. I wouldn't say this was his episode. In fact, to be honest, it's not even really a 7 and 9 episode. This it is a
yeah.
What's the name of the drone? Do they call him One? Yeah. It is a one episode, really. You know, he really is the main character in it. That works out well.
They do try and work in, like I didn't write it down, but they do try and work in the fact Seven is the mother and Doctor is the dad, kind of thing. But they don't follow through on that, really. It's just kind of intimated.
There's a couple of references to that. I mean, the Doctor even says at one stage, again, one of his great lines, I see you've got your mother's sense of humour. Something like that. It's a really good line.
I see you've got your mother's sense of humor.
Do you know what? You've touched on a couple of points there, and I've got a lot of the same points as Chris. The main note I've got really is about the theme of this episode, which seems to me to be about individualism. And this starts before that drone appears on Voyager, because it kind of opens with Seven looking in a mirror or a reflective surface anyway and smiling, like practicing a smile. And that was really interesting because she was kind of playing with that human side, you know, letting it come through a bit, practicing it. And she almost gets a bit embarrassed when the Doctor walks in and she's like, oh, you know, you ought to knock first, or, you know, something like that. But the drone itself has got a real childlike innocence. But I guess that's because he kind of is, you know, a child. He's only like a day or whatever old. So I guess he kind of is a child. But it's interesting what you said about, you know, the parents, you know, being Seven and the Doctor, because I got a real strong sense that there's almost a parallel with adoption in this episode. Now, I don't know if anybody involved with the writing of it or the creating of it, was adopted, and that's kind of where that comes from. But the drone kind of refers to, not belonging and things like that. At one stage, I think it's Janeway, they're like, oh, one day he's going to have to find out where he comes from, and when should we tell him, and they worried that he might get kind of in with the wrong crowd, that he might be badly influenced by them, and I just thought it was quite interesting, this talking about him as though he was an adopted child almost.
He has been expressing curiosity about the Borg.
Maybe we should tell him what he wants to know.
And I just thought, it was kind of interesting because that was a bit of a theme throughout the episode. Great lines. I'm not going to run through all the great lines that were in this episode because Chris has already covered a couple of them. Let's have a look. So, the Borg, party poopers of the galaxy. That was a great line by the Doctor.
The Borg, party poopers of the galaxy.
Early bird gets the gach. I thought that was a good one.
I like that one,
yeah.
Early bird gets the gach.
I mean, I'm going to have to say it because I've already said it once, but I'm a doctor, not a peeping Tom. That was such a great line. That was my favourite one, I think.
I'm a doctor, not a peeping Tom.
Chakotay, like you were saying, he has that joke with Harry Kim where he calls him Captain, and I thought, that was a good line for Chakotay, for Chakotay.
Is it true you make them call you Captain, Kim?
I hope nobody sniggered when 7 of 9 said, the drone is probing my neural pathways, because there's nothing funny about that.
The drone is probing my neural pathways.
I've got a couple of observations about this episode as well. The Borg love green light. Wherever there's Borg, there's green light. Now, there is really no real need for it, okay? You'd imagine with all of their advances in technology, that they will be able to have a different coloured light, should they wish. But it does serve as really good visual storytelling because it's kind of like that shade of green. As soon as you see it, it's the Borg. And it's a bit like with John Williams, the musical, composer, has little musical motifs for different characters. So the minute a particular piece of musical played, it might just be a couple of notes, which character it's referring to. And you get that visually with that green light. As soon as you see that, it's the Borg.
I thought the scene where Janeway and Tuvok and Seven were in watching the baby and they was all green and you were watching it through like the liquid. I thought that was a really good scene. Yeah,
I thought that was a good scene. I've got a note about that as well because did you get RoboCop vibes from that?
Yes. Because they're going up to his face.
As soon as I saw that, because there are quite a few parallels. Oh no, not parallels, but there's quite an overlap between Star Trek and RoboCop. And, well, I know it will. But yeah, so I got a RoboCop vibe from that. The Borg suit that the drone wears, it did kind of look like it had been put together over the weekend by a parent for a child for a fancy dress party.
Yeah, it didn't look like 29th century technology or whatever.
No,
it wasn't advanced like that. But I did like it, well, because I picked up that it was blue on his uniform compared to the green, and I liked that kind of blue light that just kept going on and off all the time. I like that.
Yeah, that's one of the notes I've got. The fact that although the suit itself looked up close, from a distance it was fine, but up close it did look a bit messy, a bit homemade. But it did have that pulsing blue light underneath it, and which made, especially from a distance, it made it look really quite cool and quite.
Yeah, so I thought immediately that would make a good cosplay. For it to look homemade makes it easier to make it first of all, and then if you can just get that blue light, flashing under it, that would be really cool.
Exactly. You could even see what it was like cut out, around the back of his neck and everything. You could probably make that with just gaffer tape and bits of foam. The baby Borg looked really cool and really quite eerie. I thought. I really liked that. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good effect. Now, we've already mentioned Tuvok's massive phaser rifle, right? But the Doctor had a massive camera. That like holographic camera he's got? How big was that? That was absolutely massive.
I brought along a holo imaging device to take a few snapshots.
In fairness, it was a holographic camera.
It was a holographic camera, yeah. It was a holographic camera. Exactly. But having said that, the Doctor himself has got a holographic emitter that is about the size of my, like car key.
Very true.
So,
very true.
Well, that's 29th century technology.
All right. Okay.
Also very true.
When they were transporting them back onto, I nearly said the Enterprise then, onto Voyager, there's about 4 or 5 of them on the transport, platform. And I've seen this episode before, so I know it doesn't happen. But part of me was thinking this could be like a mega Tuvix. You know what I mean? This could be like 4 or 5 people all melded together. But obviously that isn't what happens. Hey, Gibbo, you all right?
Oh, yeah.
The hollow emitter, actually talking about the hollow emitter, when it's on the desk, well, it's not a desk, is it? But you know what I mean? When it's on the console or whatever, those big tendril things come out of it. And I thought, there's no way they can fit inside that. I mean, I don't know where they came from, but they seem massive. My final comment is Nebula. Like we always say, it's always the Nebula. This episode started with the Nebula. There was actually a really, really great shot of Voyager in front of the Nebula.
Yes, it was. I love Voyager. That made me again say Voyager is a beautiful ship, I think.
It is a beautiful ship, and that's a really good shot. That's the sort of shot you can imagine as a poster. And later on in the episode, there's a really good shot of Voyager from underneath. Voyager doesn't look as good from that angle, but it was an interesting angle. I don't think I've ever really seen a shot of Voyager's belly, as it were. And that just struck me as an interesting shot. And that's all really I've got for this. So my main takeaway from this episode is it explores individualism, and it's kind of like parallels with that drone, and also 7 of 9. I think 7 in this episode kind of realizes that she does belong on Voyager, that these are her people. She even refers to them, I think, as her hive or something like that. So I think it kind of...
It's her collective, isn't it? Yeah.
Her collective. That's what she refers to it as.
Do you wish to rejoin the collective?
Voyager is my collective.
And I think, but by that drone coming on, she kind of realizes how far she's developed as a person while she's been on Voyager.
Sorry, go on.
Well, up to that point, she's kind of been the Borg outsider. But then when you get somebody who's more of a Borg outsider, she realizes how close she is to the rest of the crew. And, it did feel like it was a good development of her character.
It's the first time she had something else to care about, wasn't it? And so she had to go through losing that and kind of reflected by being able to accept then what the crew might be able, trying to do for her then. That's what I saw from her. And I didn't pick up, you mentioned the adoption part of it, and I never ever thought about that, to be honest, but you can totally see, the similarity to that situation.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Okay, I love this episode. Obviously, Voyager's my second favourite after Dear Star. I love Voyager very much, but this is really such a brilliant episode for me. First of all, the smile scene at the beginning is really good. I love that. It starts with 7 smiling, and it finishes with 7 not smiling. I was a really good, clever way they did that as an episode. And when the doctor walks in, catches her in, and she gets annoyed with that. And obviously, it's Chris and Dan's already mentioned that the doctor's lines in this episode are brilliant, like party people to the galaxy. I'm not Peeping Tom. I love all the lines the doctor did. Early bird catching the gag. I love that was a good line as well. And I must say, when he says the spontaneous protonebula could emerge within 20 minutes.
Spontaneous protonebula could emerge within the next 20 minutes.
How beautiful was the nebula? Every time I saw the nebula, it was I loved it. It was a good time. And expanding. Obviously, the way the one is created by them all combining together from the transporter is really interesting. Way the Momorbita takes over. A maturation chamber is built, basically. And the baby matures. And Ensign McKay as well is also part of it. It's his DNA that made the human male Borg in the first place. And I love the way it's a futuristic Borg. I think it's brilliant. Like 500 years in the future, creating a Borg like that, it's like mind-blowing. And Gentleman said it's got like reactive body armor, multi-dimensional adaptability, internal transporter nodes. I think that's brilliant. Internal transporter nodes, very cool. And also when Banana says, how many Borg hitchhikers will we pick up on this trip? Well, that was really funny as well,
How many Borg hitchhikers are we going to pick up on this trip?
I really liked one as well as a character. I like it. I wish we had him more in more episodes. It's a shame they had to die in the episode, but he was such a good character. I loved his innocence. He had his own distinct personality, which is really endearing, And obviously, he would have been a really good member of the crew. Having a futuristic Borg as a member would be like amazing possibilities, basically.
They will try to assimilate you.
They will fail.
But the way he went over there, obviously sacrificed himself for the crew. When he says at the end, basically, I wasn't never meant to be. As a random conventional technology, and as long as I exist, you're in danger, and I can't have that. So the way he said that was really, really moving, obviously. But I thought it's a really beautiful episode, really enjoyable. I got no complaints about it. It's a really, really wonderful episode.
You mentioned a line there, actually, and I did make a note of it, but I kind of reordered my notes before I came on, and I must have deleted it or something. And he does say that I'm not meant to be here. I was a mistake, something like that, or I was an accident. And it is a really heartbreaking line. And again, I forgot that earlier on in the episode when he grabs Seven or whatever, he grabs her hand and she says, "You're hurting me." And at that point, you don't know whether he is like an evil presence or a good presence. And it turns out that he's not evil, he's not good. He's just himself. And it just happens to be that he, as he develops on Voyager, becomes a good character. And she says that line again, "You're hurting me." And that was actually quite a heartbreaking line. That was that might even be Seven's best moment in Voyager. That's that one moment. I thought it was really, really strong.
Please. You were hurting me.
Agree.
I think that was particularly well written as well, because it's the audience feeling what Seven can't in that particular moment.
Yeah, she says so much. She just says that, "You're hurting me," or some, 3 words, whatever. But she says so much in just those 3 words. No, you're absolutely right. You're right. Yeah, because she's the one character that probably would struggle to really talk about how she's feeling.
Yeah.
And it's done brilliantly there, absolutely brilliantly.
And when they do Seven well, it's because we are feeling it. To me, like it's the audience that is emoting, and she's like just going on. Like
I know Emma. I know she's not on now, but I know she really likes.
She's going to join, I think.
Oh, is she?
I messaged her now, and she said, "Just patience, my little Padawan," is what I got.
Wrong franchise, but
yeah. But I do think that 7 of 9 isn't a character I've ever particularly. I won't say I dislike them, but I've just never really warmed to them. But I think this episode I did.
I know what you mean for that, particularly. She's like, she is a great character and rejuvenated Voyager, but I've still never really loved Seven.
Go,
Mine might be a mind blower. This is
yay. We love a mind blower.
Go for it. Blow our minds.
This is based on I can't say it. I can't say it.
Analytical.
Who?
Analytical.
Yeah.
Is she? Is she joining?
No, it's mainly about 7 of 9's use of the mirror, because it's a term used as the dual, DUAL, and you can see her facing that and a smile and her human side, whereas 1 doesn't use a mirror at all. So it's like the consciousness and the unconsciousness, who's alive and who isn't.
No, that's good. It's always good to get some insight from someone who's got some professional knowledge in this area. Do you think it was handled well then, Marie? Seven's personality in this, little insights into how she was feeling. Did that ring true, with your knowledge of, mental health and everything?
Yeah, because she showed God, I can't say it again. My speech today is bad. Vulnerable. I can't say it. Someone have to say it for me. Is apparent in the episode. When she doesn't see herself as a mother, does she? She sees herself as, I don't know,
more like his educator.
Yeah.
Gonna go next then, D. Now you've warmed up your vocal cords.
Go ahead.
So anyway, I've put it opens with Seven smiling. Oh, she was a little bit short with the AMH when he walked in.
How's my favorite Borg today?
Annoyed.
Sorry, I guess I should have knocked first.
He calls the Borg the party poopers of the galaxy, and they go exploring Seven's joie de vivre.
I do like that when he says that. He says it very well. Joie de vivre.
Tomorrow we'll start you on a new social exercise, developing your joie de vivre.
Jump to the next bit where she suggests designing a new shuttle, and Jed kindly informed me that that's the premise for the Delta Flyer.
Yes. I picked up on that.
Yeah, I've got that in my notes. Patches
that's just taking the duck.
It's not on yet, is there?
It's not on yet, no, but I love that. And by love, I mean really, really dislike.
Why would there more than one regeneration base in there?
I think hasn't there always been? Because originally they were there when the Borg came onto Voyager, and there were several of them. I thought I don't know if I'm right. I thought they always left like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, they left them after Scorpion. There was a few Borg on. It wasn't just 7. There was a contingent of Borg Voyager, and they converted Bay 2.
But I noticed Tuvok was looking hard with his big plasma rifle. there was like, oh yeah, teaching the Borg was like trying to teach a child, and I know what that's like. And when he showed gratitude, saying thank you, and he meant it, and you could sense that he meant it. It was like, how does he understand gratitude? She's not taught him gratitude. She's told him to say thank you, but not the meaning, the feeling behind it.
I think, again, from that point, it was like he already understood it even more than she did.
He is kind of teaching her as well, not as in a teacher role, but just through those interactions. I think she's,
and now it's because also, like, it's interesting that you picked up on that particular thing, because I didn't think about it, but it's because he is advancing so quickly. Like, his technology is that quick to assimilate this information that just by that one interaction she had with him to say, well, this is thank you, and this is why you say it, and what its meaning is, he already understood it, whereas then he's teaching her, oh, God, okay.
A simple thank you would suffice.
Thank you.
A customary expression of gratitude.
I noticed Tuvok said sensors again.
According to sensors
are being deflected.
I've adapted the astrometric sensors.
Long-range sensors.
Sensors. In terms of pronunciation, right, what I hated was, I think it was when 7 of 9 first appears in Voyager, when she says resistance is futile.
Yes.
That's...
Resistance is futile.
If I were directing the episode, I'd be like, whoa, can you do that again, please?
Yeah.
But this time say futile.
It's because Picard says it, so it has to be futile. But it felt like they were trying to get it so that they could claim it, the American way of saying it. And I'm like, no, that don't work.
When Seven said, you're hurting me, and I was like, that's a bit close to the bone for me, with, stuff from... And I just felt really bad for her. It's like one of the worst weeks Seven's ever had.
Yeah.
Getting him to losing him to, oh my God, I didn't like the episode because the way it made me feel inside over what Seven was technically going through.
Those episodes are hard to watch, but it's because the writing is so good that you were feeling it inside, you know what I mean? Like you explained.
Yeah.
So that's a good episode as well.
But I was just, go on.
Can I ask you, do you know when she said, you hurted me, that obviously, it triggered you. It was that both times, because the first time it was a physical thing, wasn't it? You hurting me when he was like holding her, and then the second time she's hurting emotionally. So they have two really different scenes. I just wondered, did both trigger you, or was it one over the other?
The end one. I'm over the first one.
Yeah.
I'm over the first one.
Yeah, it was powerful. Yeah.
Resistance is futile.
It was very well acted, actually.
No, I picked up that I think he's a brilliant actor. In this episode, he made such a massive impact in his character. And even on the World War II episode, which I don't like, the Voyager one, where they're on the holodeck two-parter, his character stands out in that episode a lot as well. Because he's the one that's like in love with B'Elanna Torres, his character and stuff.
And because he was sexy as well.
Well, I don't think he's sexy, but I can understand. He's male, and Emma finds him sexy. In a uniform. Welcome, Emma. So glad you're here. This was your episode, love.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Gibbo, Dan, Brush, Dean. Is it Ged or Jed? I don't know. Rashid, Marie, and my Star Trek husband. Hello, Chris.
My Star Trek wife.
Look at what you've made me do. I've come up, my hair's soaking wet. I've just got out of the decontamination with my second Star Trek husband, Connor Trina, aka Tripsticker. But listen, between us, when we go to Blackpool, anybody speaks to him, there's not a restraining order out against me. He's just trying to keep plate cool. There's not a restraining order, honestly.
Wait now. You sounded like one of them crazies that I have to kick out to this group. That is the best introduction we've ever had. Go on, Emma, do you want to go?
Where do I want to go?
No, I mean, like, we're talking about drone, love.
I know.
You don't have to go.
Yeah, we're talking about drone, aren't we? Oh, I love that episode.
This is your episode.
Yeah, I love the Nazi Borg man. I think he's lovely.
I can see why. I think he's a brilliant actor.
He's a good actor. And do you know what I love most about that episode? He's Jerry Ryan's acting, 7 of 9. Oh, I think she was phenomenal. And she actually showed, I think it's probably, is it the first episode where you really get to see some depth of a character and some raw emotion?
I think it is when it comes down to her having to learn something from it,
Yeah, and it's quite heart-wrenching when she's like, oh, you're hurting me. And I'm like, oh, I'm hurting too, 7. I'm hurting too. No, I love it. But there's a lot of things in it that I don't know. I think it was. I mean, I know it's sci-fi and it's far-fetched and stuff, but the hollow emitter, basically, where does all the technology come from? Where does that containment chamber and where does it like spontaneously? I'm just like, no, I don't understand how that's happened. And suddenly there's a baby Borg and it gestates really quickly. And no, a lot of it, I'm just like, just try not to think about it. It's just a story that they're trying to get across, you know, don't try and go too deep into it. But no, I love it. It's one of my favourite episodes, and that's why I suggested it last week. I think it's because it's one of those that's always stuck with me. I think because of the emotion from Seven and
yeah. It's an easy one to remember. Like if you don't know it by the title, as soon as somebody starts talking about it, you're like, oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's a bit like there's the other one where she shows her acting as well. The one where she's eating the cake because she's got the doctor inside. That sounds wrong.
Yeah.
But she's got the doctor inside her, basically, hasn't she? And she's like, and she's like taking on all Robert Picardo's mannerisms and everything. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a brilliant. That is. I think that's the best acting we see.
Yeah, it's because you got sexually aroused in my body. Yeah, no, it's really good. But I think she is what kept Voyager going anyway. I think if they hadn't brought 7 of 9 into it, and I know people say, oh, it was just because she was pretty and it was for the aesthetics and a bit of eye candy and stuff, but no, she was more than that. She was a really good actress, and I think she did keep Voyager going. It would have probably ended, I'd say, probably at the end of season 4, if she hadn't have been brought into it. And they played on the fact that everyone loves the Borg. So any episode that you ask me out of Voyager, top 5, they'll all be 7 of 9 ones.
Yeah.
So I just think she was brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
Before you joined, Emma, I did say actually about this episode, I made a reference to you because I was saying that 7 of 9 is a character that I don't love in Voyager. I don't dislike her, but I never warmed to her like a lot of other people did. But in this episode, I really did, because I think Jerry Ryan nails it. I think the character's brilliant. And that bit where she says, "You're hurting me" at the end, well, I personally think that might be her best moment in Voyager. That it's the moment where I was most convinced by the character and the actress. And I just thought it was a really, really strong moment. So, I thought she was brilliant in this.
On screen.
Hello, Dan, everybody. Sorry I'm coming to you over subspace tonight, but I do have other places to be. So, drone. I just want to thank everybody, especially the person that selected this Voyager episode, because it kind of reminded me of my childhood, especially when I wasn't well one time and I did a full watch through of Voyager after I'd broke my femur. But that's so yeah. Thanks for this, because this was a perfect episode to remind me of that period, and what brings us all together with Star Trek. It's that comfy TV, isn't it, to watch? So here's my points. Apologies if they've already been mentioned. Seven's attempt at getting a smile, I liked that. I liked Seven's character development, and at the end you get the other range of human emotion, the opposite end of that, which is sadness, unfortunately. But Seven's character's on point in this episode, I think. Again, I know a lot of people don't like Jerry Ryan, but I don't know, I think it was quite good. Rob Picardo, I'm still in love with Rob Picardo. He's amazing, just in everything he ever does. I didn't notice this, but during one of the scenes, they said maybe you should design a bigger, more spacious or better shuttle or something like that, which is obviously a hint at the Delta Flyer which was coming. I think that was fantastic. I like that sort of foreshadowing. A rough transport. I don't think I'd like one of them. What the hell is a rough transport? No thanks. I don't like transporters to start with. The fact that there's no night watchman on these ships is insane. This is supposed to be a ship, an exploration ship, and a fully manned one at that. It might be a bit short by now, but not by much. I thought that was a bit strange. It'd solve a lot of problems, but then it would, The bathroom scene, that was a little bit ick. Ah, yes, when he goes to the computer lab and it's just a bright green light in there, and it's like, I'll just wander in here. What's bright green? It never goes wrong. I won't report it. I won't do anything. I'll just wander in and get myself, stuck by some Borg assimilation cumes. And then when they discover it, they're like, oh, let's keep it. Which I get is very Star Trek. But if that was me, I'd be like, her into space with 10 photon torpedoes just to make sure it's definitely in bits. Nice little line from Seven. We will engage the Borg. I like that. And resistance is futile. Replied to with perhaps. The music in the episode I thought was absolutely fantastic as well. Especially towards the end, some of the orchestral pieces were beautiful. But that's me being a bit of a lover of classical music. But Star Trek does that as ready as a whole. And in the end, it turns out he was, a nice one with his noble, a nice one, a good drone in the end, which maybe teaches me that maybe we shouldn't immediately beam him into space just because, based on what their race has done in the past. Because he made a noble sacrifice, but I still don't think from a tactical side they should have been allowed to live. I'd have beamed him into space still, so it's not worked.
But mine's more of a comical thing because I'm that person who I did my own work ish, but I get infatuated with certain things and it just keeps on my mind. So who dressed Neelix?
I know. Do you know, I did think that. He looked up.
When I was watching it, I went, where's Garrick? They need a tailor. That is appalling.
What I picked up on, it was the costume and, but it was the angle they were shooting him at. It was just the worst angle. It was like they were looking up towards him and making him look awful. Like his clothes looked awful because of that, because you could see all the ruffles underneath them.
I didn't notice that.
Because I think with Neelix, what they do is go to the cheapest market and buy whatever they got on fucking sale. And they put something together.
It looks like bus seat. Do you know what I mean? If you ever catch a bus, the material that the seats are made.
Oh, right, yeah. All the trains are the same as well.
Yeah, trains, yeah.
When I was just walking down there, I just got infatuated with this very, very tight jacket. I was thinking, who dressed you? And did you willingly want to wear that? I'd be going, it's making me look fat. I need it off. That was it. That's all I saw out of that program. I watched the program. I enjoyed the program, but this jacket was just stuck in my head all night. I was going.
Gibbo's analysis of this episode is it's like the mirror universe analysis of what Patches gives.
Yeah, Patches wouldn't talk about tailoring, I don't think. Not much.
Well, he might well mention it, but he would,
Well, he would mention it because he mentions everything. But yeah,
I love Patches' analysis.
No, I love him as well. He keeps it because sometimes I know I probably talk an awful lot in between, but when you write down points, it's like shit. I haven't got a lot. And most things get covered. Patches is so in depth, though. I told him before. I was like, "You were cerebral." Oh, what are you talking about? I was like, everything you say is it's got depth to it. Whereas for me, I'm only seeing the first thing.
He does it without notes though, because he'll jump on.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look like he's looking at notes. Because I normally have some notes, but I don't like to sit there and just read them. Which is why I miss stuff because I'll kind of skip lines. But he just tends to.
Is he on? Oh, he's bloody on now. I'm going to stop saying nice things.
I'm not sure.
I'm stopping saying nice things about him. He's not.
He's commuting, so he might not be able to hear these nice things.
I can just.
Botany Bay.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I want one.
Botany Bay.
It doesn't.
You naked from the waist down.
I thought that. Really. Are you just wearing boxer shorts, bro?
Yeah, you like pantless.
Are you just wearing boxer shorts?
No, not boxers. They might look sports shorts.
Oh, sports shorts.
These are my tennis shorts because in these 2 pockets, people, it's unbelievable, right? Because I can still play tennis with 8 tennis balls in my fucking pockets. They are
I thought you were just pleased to see me.
No, they're the best pockets ever invented. I literally walked around so many shops, just going up to every pair of shorts, going, "No, it's shit. No, it's shit. No pocket. No pocket in there. No. Oh, look at the size of that pocket."
So, Blushy, do you walk around with tennis balls in your pocket?
Yeah, it's there for shoplifting.
I don't naturally walk around with tennis balls in my pocket. I do play tennis. It's just my tennis partner hibernates during the winter, the fucking bitch. So I haven't seen her for months.
Should we send her a link? You can play tennis.
Oh, yeah, do it, yeah, because she has asked for... I've sent her the link to Shuttlebay 4 a couple of times, because she's like, oh, I'll watch an episode, and I doubt she ever has, but she's got the link. She's not a Star Trek fan at all, mind. She would just watch it to laugh at me idiotically and wonder what the fuck I talk about a lot.
What's she called?
Sophie. Oh, say, hello, oh my Soph.
Hello, oh my Soph.
Oh my Soph.
Oh my Soph.
So I did pick up again that somebody else mentioned it, but it was really cool that the initial idea for the Delta Flyer came up in this episode. Also, so just noticing the Voyager bridge, I don't know if it was a different angle, but you saw Tuvok from quite a long way away. And I just wanted to appreciate again, the Voyager bridge is amazing. And then you saw the external of the ship. And again, I went on about how Voyager is also a really beautiful ship. So one thing I've always found interesting about Voyager's bridge being so amazing and so vast compared to most other bridges is it's a really small ship compared to all the others. It's like known as a smaller Intrepid class. And so interesting how it's got such a big bridge. But I think the set of the bridge is really cool for Voyager.
Yeah.
we saw the transporter happen when they're beaming back to the ship, and it was like, oh, this isn't happening properly. Something's going on. You're like, oh, we know something's going on. Trouble. In literally 2 more seconds of shimmer than you do with a transporter, and this is trouble. And so that was apparent straight away. Then what happened was a random crew member was asked to go and do something. That equals death.
Relax, Doctor. I'll keep you posted. Mulcahy?
And we all knew that as well, didn't we? It was obvious. As soon as there's a random crew member actually named and given a task to do where you follow them somewhere, dead. I wrote then the early bird catches the gach, so I'll mention that one because that was my favourite out of all of them. And again, he had all the best lines. But what we haven't said, Dan, is what usually happens with Bob Carter's lines.
Go on, you say it.
He usually writes it himself, and then you've got to say, and they're usually the funniest.
Well, we've already said that, though.
Didn't you? Get over here. Anyway, okay, so Janeway early on says, so the only option we have apart from murder, which is an order I don't want to give. And I'm like, really, Janeway? Really? You've given that order before?
What I'm proposing is the only defense we have against that possibility, short of murder. And that's an order I'd prefer not to give.
I'll say it. It was written at one stage of the draft as a Terminator-type Borg that was just supposed to be one of those almost indestructible things that they would have had to deal with. And so that's what she was allowing to be born, you know what I mean? So I thought that, again, was a decision she should have made early. I mentioned then the actor that plays one, because I do want to say I thought he was amazing. And in everything he's been in Star Trek, he's always such a good actor that stands out then compared to the other guest actors.
Will Voyager be destroyed?
I thought it was interesting. Voyager's listed as his first ever acting credit.
Right.
And he's not a young guy, so that was interesting. And then he's done a few things after. They realised that Borg has sent a transmission, and the Borg have picked it up. So they're like coming towards Voyager. And when the Borg find Voyager, they are still sat at the same nebula waiting for the Borg to appear. And I'm like, well, just go in a different direction, at least try and get away.
It's heading directly for the nebula.
And they literally just sat still waiting, going, but this is such an interesting nebula.
That nebula is expanding at a rate of 8,000 cubic kilometers per hour.
You know, and we don't see many of those, so we need to study it deeply. I thought they could have at least tried to get away from that Borg.
Also, it sounds epic. I know it was growing the nebula, but surely you can do a load of scans, get your data, and then go away and then just analyze the data. You don't have to be right next to it to analyze it, do you?
Yeah. So one is going on to the Borg cube and then made that Borg cube go into the nebula so it crushes itself. Well, you had that transporter. Why didn't you just beam back to Voyager? I didn't get that bit.
That was a great effect, by the way. You know, when the Borg cube, the sphere, whatever, imploded.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good visual effect.
The first time we've seen a Borg sphere in an episode. We saw it in First Contact, but this is the first time a sphere has ever appeared, apparently, in an episode.
It was a very effects-heavy episode, actually, when you think about it. Oh, loads of CGI in this episode.
Yeah. And then, so the Doctor obviously gets his mobile emitter back. There's never, like, a comment about how, because he would have had to cut it out of him, or you couldn't write that plausible explanation, so we just avoided that, and he added the next episode again.
Hello, Luke Jones was just joined. But don't worry, there's no pressure to speak. There never is. But feel free to join in if you want to. But if you wonder what we're doing, Brush has just disappeared to show us his cushion. So we're just waiting for him.
Major entertainment.
There it is, look.
Wow, that does look shit.
It doesn't
they look amazing to me. Honest to God.
my takeaway from Drone, I don't take notes. It's all off the cuff, but because of time and things like that, my takeaway was, you're hurting me. And
we've all kind of said that point has really hit home, and it was interesting that you've watched it before, and like you said, it can take, when do you watch that particular episode, what impact it can have on you, and you've taken a lot from it this time.
Yeah, it depends what's going on in your mind and what maybe you're going through something at the time, maybe you're thinking back to something for this particular thing. And as it's been said, there's a lot of Data and Lol, his child, the child thing coming through. There's a lot of you coming through. If someone was watching Voyager and that was their show, that was their introduction, they got invested in those characters maybe before TNG, that was the show. 7 of 9 is the Data character, super strong, super intelligent, super quick, You know what I mean? Different from the rest. And this was her kind of offspring type thing until the kids come in later on. And she starts off smiling in the mirror, doesn't she? And she's, you know, this is her trying to explore humanity and not just be a robot, but she's got the possibility to be a woman. So I get that. And that motherhood thing or that parent thing coming through. And at the end, you will adapt. And that was my massive takeaway. It was really emotional watching that for me. And I was like, oh my God, she's losing a kid, man. That's what the and then at the end of that, it was you will adapt. And that for me, the take home from this episode, this time watching it around is you will adapt. It will be okay.
I didn't think of this before, but you know how the Borg use that? You will adapt, because they kind of are there and they take over in a certain way. Well, the human opposite of that would be you will adapt, because that's what you have to do emotionally. And it's the opposite of it. But it also is the same thing. You will have to adapt because you have to now deal with what has ever happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like the Borg in reverse this episode, because it was like you will adapt was meant completely differently to how the Borg would say it, same sort of language.
Yeah, I didn't think of that before.
The Borg refer to your distinctiveness and all that, and what they mean is basically you're going to lose it.
In fact, it's like a mirror, isn't it? Whereas, like you pointed out several times, this whole episode was about individuality and having to also deal with that as well.
But it was individuality within a community, because it was like finding your people. You know, like she said, I forgot the line now where she's, I found my collective.
Voyager is my collective.
Voyager is my collective.